This is Brian Young, Super Bowl champ, 49er. You're listening to Matt and Dexter on The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, brought to you by Replenishing Technologies and MyBookie.ag. I'm your host, Matt Andruscavage, and I'd like to welcome in my co-host, former 49er running back, Dexter Carter.
Hey, Matt. Great to be with you, man, as always, and some exciting things to talk about this week, moving forward to where we want to be as a 49er organization and talking about, all the unexpected. So I'm excited to dive into this and let's, give it some great analysis.
Well, it's funny because after the game on Sunday, it was just another one of those weeks where, okay, there's really no more silver lining to find. It's like, all right, this is just a beatdown. We probably thought this was going to be a loss. And then all the injuries happened, so it's not like we can say, all right, well, there's other players that we want to evaluate and things like that. It was just kind of grim. And then all of a sudden, this alert came in on my phone, which I'm sure every 49er fan is very excited about. So there's quite a lot to talk about today.
Absolutely. And first, as you said, pertaining to the game, we all pretty much assume based on just, looking at the stats, where the season's been going, both teams, not being pessimistic toward the 49ers, but just realistic where we are. That
right.
The Eagles were going to win. It's just a matter of how they're going to win. And when we delve into the game a little bit more, we'll talk about the injuries, which impacted the game greatly, on top of just not playing well again. But, losing guys just makes things just much worse. But at the end of the day, we went into the game with Beathard being optimistic on him developing as a quarterback and just continue to follow the process and hope it got better before it got worse. But it surely changed the vision of where the organization is going and how do you approach from this point to the rest of the season and going into the off season. How do you, allocate your draft and free agent focus? So, it's some great stuff to talk about in that area for us today.
Yeah, 2017, I really hope that people weren't blinded by, all of the flash of the signing of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and then the free agents and the draft. These were all very good things, but, I hope people weren't expecting a lot this year and then got very disappointed. I know there's probably some people like that, but what was nice to see is that they were competitive for quite a while. But now, even despite, the season is, basically over, and now it's, you just kind of play your best. You play for pride. You play for respect. You play for your teammates, and, the coaches got to evaluate everything. But now, despite their 0-8 record, and despite the way they played against the Eagles, we're going to be talking about this in a little bit, but the signing of Jimmy Garoppolo definitely changes the perception of how this season will end. So, as we talk a little bit more about this game, the going forward, C.J. Beathard's still going to be playing for a little while as Garoppolo tries to get acclimated to the offense. But this is going to be very interesting going forward, and now they kind of set themselves up for a productive 2018.
Absolutely, and talking about Kyle Shanahan, Lynch, and I'm going to throw Martin Mayhew in there.
Yeah.
Because Martin Mayhew, with his experience as a GM, bringing him in was a very, very smart decision by the organization and John Lynch, because this move proves to me that they're continuing to work behind the scenes. Because I didn't expect this move, didn't even think this move was even possible, but not throwing away the season, but it just makes known that, one, we can't put all of our eggs in the basket of a rookie that we're very, very optimistic on, And it still doesn't mean that 49ers don't like Beathard for the future. But right now, it just changes things. All the stuff we said before, we have to be, objective here and look at the future outlook based on now, based on the decisions that have happened. I feel like Beathard, I think he's still going to develop into a good quarterback. Now, Garoppolo, just based on what he did when he filled in for Bledsoe, I mean, everybody was high on him. You
mean Brady?
And he's going to go and start someplace else. So what that does now, everything quiets down for quite some time, and then all of a sudden, the individuals that we were all optimistic on behind the scenes, Kyle Shanahan, and the GM and the assistant GM, we had already talked about, the confidence that we had in them, but for them to come up here and either create the conversation with New England about this right here, they were looking forward even past what we were talking about. Hey, put Beathard in and let Beathard go on and start developing with these other guys. Still is a good move, but man, this takes this team to the next level real quick. Now, it may not happen in the remaining games of the season because I think Beathard still needs to develop, and Garoppolo needs to learn the system. So if you throw Garoppolo in there right now, everybody's going to think, oh, we're going to win the rest of the game. One, is a system that he's got to learn. And, you know what, I say don't put him in there right now. Because one, we lose the rest of the game, and there's some of the fan base who expect immediate results don't tell them, and then they're going to be pessimistic. Now, the organization's not worried about people being pessimistic. They're worried about how they can best develop the team moving forward. But when you look at the offensive line, obviously weaker now that Stanley is hurt, do you really want to throw Garoppolo in there and get beat up and maybe impact his confidence, and everybody else? I wouldn't do it. I don't understand whenever he really learned the system and comfortable, you know what I'm saying, and let Beathard keep developing. So, it's a lot of things that could happen, but, hey, optimism to me is definitely there for the fan base to be excited about.
Oh, no question about it. No question about it. I think let's finish up the rundown of the Eagles game, and then I think you're absolutely right about what you said about Jimmy Garoppolo and how this is going to play out going forward. I like the idea of just playing Beathard and letting him develop. You watch him against the Eagles. He was 17 of 36, 167 yards, two interceptions and one touchdown. Kind of paltry numbers for a guy that, you kind of expecting a little bit more from. But on the other hand, I don't think anybody was really expecting 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So it was disappointing to see the pick six because I thought the defense kept the Niners in the game. But, like we talked about, it was the Eagles. You really hit the nail on the head when you said it really wasn't about that the Eagles were going to win. It was just how they would win and, what would happen eventually. The Niners kept it close, but they just couldn't get enough on the offense, and I think that is exactly why they got on the horn yesterday with New England. All day Monday they were negotiating, and originally Brian Hoyer was part of the deal, but they ended up just giving up another conditional draft pick, and then they promptly released Hoyer. So I think you're absolutely right. The next several weeks are going to be all about Jimmy Garoppolo or C.J. Beathard's development and allowing Garoppolo to acclimate to the offense and learn it. There's no reason to rush him in because, Joe Staley got hurt. He's going to be out 2 to 5 weeks. He broke a bone right above his eye. Jimmy Ward fractured his arm. He's out for the year. Backup tackle Gary Gilliam got hurt, so now you got to play Zane Beatles at tackle. It's not a good situation. There's so many guys out on the offensive line, so there's just no reason to throw Garoppolo in there and see what he can do right now because he's going to get killed back there. You might as well give your rookie every opportunity to shine and let every player that is available be able to be as productive as they can in these upcoming games. So I don't like Garoppolo coming in until at least after the bye week, which is after week 11.
Absolutely. And one thing that young quarterback needs whenever they take over an offense, two things you need. You need good offensive line play, and you need a good running game.
Right.
Beathard had neither yesterday. So if Beathard doesn't have it, Garoppolo's not going to have it. So let Bethard continue to develop, as I said, or we said earlier, and and what it does is it develops other facets of his game. So you're going to have to play with, offensive line, not great plays sometimes, and sometimes not a great running game. So let's see how Bethard deals with it, because that'll be a part of the game that he needs to play and perfect, whether he's a starter or whether he's backed up and coming in, for the starting quarterback in relief. So that's important, man. I'm still high on Bethard. I still think he can be a quality quarterback, in the future, whether it's a backup or a starter. But the quarterback position looks very bright for the 49ers moving forward. We just hope that, one, no more injuries and continue to develop, that running game. And one thing that surprised me is the Eagles were about, I think, their third down conversion was awful in this game, like 4 of 14.
Yeah.
And usually when you have that kind of record, as an opposing offense and our defense, that means that they're stopping drives. They're getting you the ball. But what that's also saying, based on the results of the game or the outcome of the game, is our offense was unproductive. So that's very surprising, not to, take advantage of what the defense was able to do, at least in stopping the Eagles in third down conversion. So if we continue to have that moving forward, it's going to be pretty tough to, I guess, beat a team when you can't score and move the ball and convert on third down conversions yourself as an offense.
Yeah, right. Clearly offense is the issue with this team. The Niners were 3 of 15 on third down. The Eagles were 4 of 14. Pretty similar on third down. The Niners were in the game for a lot of it. It was 3-0 for quite a while. Then the Eagles did score, but then they just kind of handed it right to them with that pick six. So getting down 17-0, and then early in the third, Matt Breida was able to score at his first touchdown, but then the Eagles just came right back and got a 53-yard touchdown to Alshon Jeffrey. 24-7, that's really tough. They just don't have the offense that can come back from that kind of a deficit. So while the defense played admirably, the offense is just not getting it done right now. So management needed to make a move. So, this is the nice thing about going forward. In this draft, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What's interesting is whether it's life, whether it's athletics, whether it's business, timing is everything. And for New England to be in a position to where they need a defensive lineman and being able to be creative in the process of how do we get this here done. Timing is everything for the 49ers. I think the draft timing-wise for the 49ers was great. I mean, the timing of, trading and who they traded with and the psychology of that, too. Got to make other teams think something different than what they think you're thinking. And when it comes to this, trying to get Garoppolo, man, beginning of the season, nobody thought that they would be in this situation. But then New England didn't think they would need a defensive lineman. So you have to be creative, and you have to find somebody at the right moment. Whoever reached out to who, they knew who to reach out to. But it's still to be done. So they found each other at the perfect time and got a good deal for everybody. And, we got what we wanted. Now New England is trying to find, okay, how can we catapult this draft pick into finding a defensive lineman to the point to where they're also trying to, trade Butler, who was a savior in the Super Bowl against Seattle, a few years ago. So timing, again, is everything, and the timing was great for the 49ers.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, this is the, 0-8, they were looking pretty bleak. It looked like they were going to have to break the bank on a guy like Kirk Cousins, or maybe they used their top draft pick to get a guy like Sam Darnold. But now, when you're doing a rebuild, franchise quarterback is definitely one of those boxes you've got to check in order to get yourself back into championship football. And now, I'd say that box is checked. They've got a guy that they probably feel can be their franchise quarterback of the future, and now you can focus on other areas, and that's what I like most about this.
Nothing, rather than, focusing on, oh my goodness, we're going to be devastated if we lose the rest of the games and go 0-16. But now, you're right, this changes the vision of everybody involved, because a quarterback is definitely what we needed, whether we got another one in the draft or not. Getting Garoppolo takes that off the table because I don't think there's anybody out there that can criticize this move and say that the 49ers are okay with their future at quarterback and changing their focus to these other areas that they can develop. And I believe, one, you got to get the best player available. Now, the first pick of the draft, just like last year, I think the first pick was a great, I think Solomon's going to turn out to be a great player, and I think the same thing coming up. They got to pick the best player on their board, be it a defensive back, receiver. Now, defense is, there's more of a focus on that, but I think it's the best player available. And at this point, I haven't done enough research. I know I watch Saturday NCAA football, and I don't really know who that person could be right now, but it feels so much better that we don't have to look for a quarterback and we can narrow the search down to other positions now.
Yeah, this really was the ideal move because, they gave up a second-round pick. It was originally the Garoppolo sweepstakes. It was looking like New England was going to be asking for at least 2 first-round picks. And I'm really glad the Niners did not, offer that kind of a price. So getting a guy like Garoppolo for a second-round pick, and now you still preserve that first-round pick, you still have a second-round pick, and now you can focus on all these other areas, and you have all this money under the cap. Now, Garoppolo's a free agent, so they have to extend him quickly. I'm sure they'll do that.
Yeah.
They've got plenty of money, and I'm sure that was part of the deal, and Garoppolo knows that, hey, we're going to extend you right away. So I expect to see that within the next couple of weeks, that they'll get him signed for a long-term deal. But now, all of a sudden, now you can start looking for one of those top corners. They got to fix that offensive line. They can look there. They can look into the draft or in free agency for wide receivers to pair with Garoppolo. There's a lot of guys coming out of free agency this year, like Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. There's guys out there that they can go pick up, and they've got the money to sign them.
Absolutely. And, when it comes to front office moves, it's all about chess. And you've got to know, other people's weaknesses, what they're asking, what realistically they can get. Because New England did want to break the bank in what they got for Garoppolo. But they knew, the 49ers knew that they could, work this thing. They knew that New England wasn't going to get what they were asking because, again, what forced their hand is, hey, if we want to continue to get better, we got to get a defensive lineman. Okay, so teams aren't going to give us what we want. Oh, man, the 49ers, this is the best shot that we have, to get and make this move with the 49ers. So I'm telling you, the chess match, was brilliant in what the 49ers were able to do. So, hey, just move forward, and I tell you what, as the NCAA season continues, start looking more in detail, as you said, defensive back, because we've been talking a couple of years now, on the defensive back that could step up and beat that guy. And this, to my surprise, man, I understand the early, developmental stages of cornerbacks, but they just haven't, developed as quickly. You see flashes here and there, but, I hope that the scouts, for the 49ers are grinding across the country and ask questions and look at these guys in practice and look at their film and start seeing, it's not just who's balling, on Saturdays. It's about the consistency of that, and watch them in practice. Ask these college coaches questions about the nuances of their play and practice and, behavior, attitude, all of that, because we've got to get a guy that can, who is, there's I believe, I can't remember his name, but number 39, I believe, for New England is a rookie. You know what? I should know this, but I don't. But I was watching last week, and he was focused on one of the NFL talk shows, and I'm talking about making plays all season, a rookie. And, we need a guy like that who is stepping up, just making plays, or a guy like Jalen Ramsey. Now, he had a great career at Florida State. But, man, a guy like that, look at what he's helped do for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars made some big moves during the offseason. to help out Jalen Ramsey, in the draft from, 2 years ago. But that's the impact player that the 49ers have got to get. They're out there. You got to be, and it can't be, we don't have a high enough draft pick to select a guy like that. Yes, you do, and he's out there, and you better find him.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. This year is a huge offseason. They've got talent on this defense, and if they can just solidify it I think they got to get an impact player in that secondary, like we talked about, and they've got to be able to have a consistent enough pass rush that can aid DeForest Buckner. They can't rely on DeForest Buckner to get all the pressure. They've got to start getting more pressure off those edges. And if they can get a guy like that, if Solomon Thomas can be that guy, if Eric Armstead can be that guy, one way or another, they've got to have that front seven that can get consistent pressure, and then they need that impact player or two in the secondary. If that happens, that defense will be completely different. And with a franchise quarterback, you start building that offensive line. You solidify that wide receiver core. Some of the guys they already have got, like George Kittle, Marquise Goodwin, those guys can continue to develop in this system. All of a sudden, you're not that far away. But this is that key offseason now, and with that quarterback box checked, they've got to get it, make the right moves this year. And if they do, all of a sudden, next year is going to look way different than this year.
Absolutely. And, and that's these 4 guys that we've given a lot of kudos and compliments, to make sure that happens. And I think they will. One name that comes to my mind, and there's a good and bad here, is because I think corner is where we need this guy.
Yeah.
But I think Derwin James, his history at Florida State has proven this is a guy and a playmaker that can be on any team. But I think because of the terrible season that Florida State is having, and I don't know if Derwin James is trying to preserve himself and, prevent injury, but his play, again, it could be the defensive coordinator scheme, how he's playing him in this defense. But Derwin's play has decreased. I mean, the whole team has. So I don't know if you take a chance on that. Plus, Derwin is a safety and not a corner. But that's those guys that get paid a lot of money to decide that. But he's definitely a player that before the season started was a projected top 5 pick, and was on everybody's top 5 picks in the draft. So we'll see what happens as this continues to develop. But there are guys that have that Derwin James impact at corner, but they just have to find him.
Right, that's the thing. If they, it looks like I can't even imagine Dante Johnson's going to be back. He's just been beaten repeatedly. Rashard Robinson will probably still be there, though he just needs a little bit more confidence, I think, in his game. I mean, he definitely has confidence, but on the field as he plays, you can tell things get really frustrating for him out there because he gets flagged a lot, and he's given up some plays. So hopefully he can blossom into who they think he can be. And, they can get the safety situation taken care of. All of a sudden, things would be a lot different. So, there's a lot of really good possibilities in this off season. I mean, it's kind of bad that we're talking about week 9, but we're already looking to the off season. But with the record the way it is, it's just kind of reality. But with Garoppolo now in the fold, it just changes the outlook so much.
Absolutely, and for our listeners out there, this gives us great conversation because other than that, we're talking about 0-8 and how we didn't play well against Philadelphia and all the dismal outlook of the next game and remaining game. So this again, we're always trying to be optimistic. We talk about the optimism. We talk about trust and believe in the process. But this actually does at a dismal point gives us optimism because don't look at what the record will be when the season ends. Look at where we potentially can be next year with a quality NFL quarterback in the fold. That the toughest thing for him is going to be what place home he's going to find, because we know he can learn a system, and we know Kyle Shanahan's system is exactly what it is. The ability to score 28 points a game, and and being able to run more. balance that offense out a little bit. Balance to me in a hands offense is, 70-30, just being honest, because,
Right.
We get quarterback and some quality receivers that throw the ball. You don't mind throwing the ball, but you do know you got to have that 30% run in there every game. And I think we got two backs that are quality backs. We just got an offensive line and cornerback. I think is the big area of improvement that we got to focus on in the draft.
Yeah, no question about it. So coming up in this week will be the Arizona Cardinals. Will be played in San Francisco. The Arizona Cardinals coming off a bye week, so this is going to be the third team in 4 weeks that the Niners will have played off their bye week. But the Cardinals are in disarray. They don't have a quarterback right now. Drew Stanton is their quarterback. Blaine Gabbert is the backup. They've got running back issues. They've got offensive line issues. The defense is not quite what it was. So this is, as weirdly as this sounds, this is a winnable game. It just depends to see, it depends on, if the Niners can get pressure on the quarterback and get some kind of an offense going. So, I don't believe that they will end up 0-16. I think they will win a couple of games. Maybe this week will be one of them, but I'm just looking for development in Beathard. I'm looking for, maybe one or two of these backups can emerge as, a quality guy to keep around for next year. And I'm hoping that, some of the depth that they have on defense can shine, because there's a lot of injuries right now. And so you got guys that need to step up and be able to show that they're worth keeping around for the next year or two.
Yeah, this is definitely a winnable game. Having Palm out does help the 49ers, but it's going to be a defensive battle. Our the 49ers defense definitely will be in for a challenge, with the resurgence of and confidence of Peterson there in the backfield, who seems like Arizona has really figured out how to use him. Not figured out how to use him. You know how to use Peterson, but New Orleans was just in a situation with three backs that they were sharing time with, and he just wasn't himself. But so it's going to be a defensive battle, and see if we shut Peterson down, and then see if the 49ers offense can get anything going against Patrick Peterson and the defense that Arizona Cardinals have that actually plays very well.
Yeah, and I completely botched my statement. I said the Cardinals had running back issues. I still am not used to the fact that they have Adrian Peterson back there. So they're going to have the Cardinals do have a run game. There's no doubt about it. That's going to be a challenge for the Niners to stop. They're going to have to make sure that they limit him and get after Stanton when he does throw. So they'll have their chances in this game. It's just going to come down to the turnovers and how much offense can the Niners generate with the makeshift offensive line that they've got. Can Beathard make some plays against this defense? And so it'll be interesting to see, what they can get out of the personnel that they'll be putting out there on Sunday.
Oh my goodness! Guess what alert I just got?
What did you get?
Oh, well, it has nothing to do with this game coming up. It just popped up on my phone. But the Philadelphia Eagles acquired Ajayi from the Dolphins.
Oh my goodness!
I mean,
well, that's wow. We're just gonna be. I think there's gonna be a bunch of moves. There's rumors that the Niners are gonna try to get Martavis Bryant off the Steelers. Now that would be awesome. Yeah, I think it would too. Ajayi going to the Eagles really makes the Eagles are already 7-1. If Ajayi can, that's really been the Eagles' weak point is the lack of running game because they're not getting a lot of production out of LeGarrette Blount, and Smallwood's been okay, but they've just been relying on Wentz. If Ajayi, oh man, if he's anything like he was last year, the Eagles are going to be really tough to beat.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And it looks like, let's see, Eagles acquired Dolphins Pro Bowl running back in third mega deal of NFL trade deadline. Like you said, during this trade deadline period, man, it could be some more moves, just as you said.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It looks to me like Lynch and Mayhew and Shanahan, this front office looks aggressive, and I like that. I like the fact that they're not just sitting on their hands and waiting for next year, that they're making some moves. They've got the capital to do it. They've got draft picks. They've got, the ability to sign big name players, and so hopefully we'll see one or two more deals today.
Yeah, having the cap space for it is a big deal, and they've done a good job of positioning themselves to be able to make those moves. So doesn't look like much from the outside looking in if you're not a studier of football and the cap and things of that nature. But it's a great move for the future, and another move to position themselves to make the team competitive on the field. So again, fans, it gives you a chance to be optimistic moving forward.
Yeah, I think this trade really changes the outlook for things going forward. So hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about even on the next show, that there'll be some deals made. Maybe the Niners will look a little bit better and pull off a win, and we'll see how things look going forward.
Absolutely. And I tell you, Matt, man, it's good being with you, man. Don't talk about it. I don't point it out very often, but I want our fans to know, man, it's been such a pleasure partnering with you the last couple of years and getting the fan base that, enjoy what we do. And we love hearing your feedback and continue to stick in here with us, and we'll give you the best information and analysis as we can, towards your 49ers.
Well, I want to return the favor and say thank you as well. It's been just an absolute blast, a dream to talk to a guy that I grew up watching. Never thought that anything like this could be possible, but it's been so much fun. And even though we've had to discuss some tough years, it's still been so much fun, and it's only going to be that much more fun as they improve. And so I appreciate all of our listeners out there who get our podcast every week, and we're going to continue to do the best that we can to give you the very best 49ers analysis going forward. And so definitely appreciate you too, my friend.
Absolutely. Hey, and one thing I want to say is this last weekend I had my Dexter Carter 1335 golf tournament in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yeah,
and
saw that.
And man, it was a blast. Had a lot of fun, and what we're planning on doing next year is having one in Florida, because 1335 is 13. I was number 13 at Florida State and number 35 in high school and with the 49ers. So what we want to do is have one continuously in Florida, because being from Florida State, and having one in California. So and then eventually in Georgia, etc. But man, it was such a success. We had it and raised funds for this one was for supporting student athletes at Florida State. So it can continue to be one of the top schools in general in the country, and then find somewhere in San Francisco, LA, where I've got a contingent of followers, and and help at-risk youth there, and helping them be better people. So if anybody can go to Dexter 1335 Golf Tournament on Facebook and like it, and say what you want, or just follow us, and build this thing to help kids all across the country in areas that I have an impact or a history in.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Please do so. Please go out to Dexter 1335. Is it just Dexter1335.com, or is it just Dexter 1335 Golf Tournament?
No. Right, yeah. Right now, just go to Facebook and go to Dexter Carter 1335 Golf Tournament.
Yeah, on Facebook.
And see some of the pictures. Yeah, see some of the pictures from the event. And just stay tuned. As we build this for next year.
Awesome. Yeah, please go out there and like that. I know Dexter's doing a lot of stuff to help at-risk youth, and I know he cares very much about that. So please support that.
Thank you, my man.
You got it. So, we'll on to another week. We'll see what happens this week in the news and on the field on Sunday. And I'm sure as we come back next week, we'll have a lot more to talk about.
Absolutely. You guys, fans out there, have a great rest of the week, the weekend, and we'll see you next week.
All right. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, where the legends speak.